When this guy wakes up in the academy hall, he has no idea how he got there, or who all these people are around him. Then it hits him. It's all because of that letter. Just a moment ago, he was chilling in his room, playing games, when someone suddenly knocked on his door. A random delivery guy hands him a package he definitely didn't order. And like an idiot, Xiao Lin opens it immediately. The second he does, he gets sucked into some unknown dimension. Turns out, that package was actually an admission letter to Dawn Academy. And just like that, Xiao Lin is now stuck in some otherworldly magical academy. Aura farming for style points, his instructor welcomes him, while the rest of the dudes are just as confused. To introduce himself, this man nearly cuts them down like sushi before demanding everyone to shut their mouths. First, they must take a potential assessment test. It's kinda like assessing one's attributes, and while some guys get up to 32 points, our boy is hated by the gacha gods and ends up getting 9 points only. It's the shittiest score on the planet, earning our boy yet another loser title. All his life, this man has only heard the word loser haunting him by everyone he loved. He's fed up and wants to change that shitty label forever. Xiao Lin snatches away the chip and roars that he'll prove himself. Some candidates are curious about rumors of a talented student. Qin Chuan shares that those people are selected by the luck of God. They're the ultimate prodigies. One bad bitch steps up, the one who has the highest stat sheet in this group, Gu Xiaoyue. Unfortunately, she doesn't have a special talent either. The members of the academy can earn unimaginable wealth and exchange points for anything. The card Xiao Lin snatched suddenly pops up revealing his stats but with a plot twist. There's also a deductible lifespan system, which means each death shaves 10 years, and hitting 0 means permanent death. Interestingly, Xiao Lin experiences abnormality with a hidden talent, a double S rank secret talent called learning ability to copy one skill equal to F class. Naming it the Scholar skill, it becomes his very trump card to change his fate. One of the students contests in worry, questioning what this lifespan system even means. After all, this dude has only 9 years to spare, which means a single death implies he's a goner. The brute counselor smacks his dumbass head and confirms that the kid will indeed die after a single death, but if anything, Qin Chuan thinks this is a jackpot and not something to mourn. He explains that in the real world lifespans are counted per year, which means a single fatality confirms your death. However, lifespan in this specific world is actually a valuable resource. It's a kind of credit someone can use to complete missions and buff their stats. It's an opportunity to go batshit crazy and evolve. The loser who got struck on the head is still processing what happened, while Qin Chuan expresses how this very academy enables students to change one's own destiny. People can earn knowledge, and even increase their own lives, enrich themselves with Elon Daddy levels of wealth. So long as they have credits to spare, they're capable of reaching immortality since one death only shaves off a max of 10 years. The bad bitch Xiao Yue speaks up, questioning if the rule only applies inside the academy, or if it's applicable everywhere. The good thing is, the counselor reveals that it will apply on Earth in any location, so long as the candidates become a member of the academy first. With the yapping concluded, Qin Chuan gears them up to prepare for the start of the entrance exam. Snapping his fingers, he orders them to stay right where they are and not move a muscle. The transmission confirms the teleportation sequence countdown, starting from 3. Each student, including our boy, is anticipating their own fears, and the moment the clock strikes 1, the candidates are vaporized from the hall, leaving only the counselor behind. Qin Chuan facepalms in annoyance, pissed off that not a single student from this lowly batch has the expected talented student, which means he won't be getting a good instructor score. While he's sulking on his luck, his coworker, a DILF with that Toji physique, comes along to flex. Popping a cigar and having more hair than Andrew Tate, he flexes how his class already produced 2 talented students of the A and B rank level. Qin Chuan, on the other hand, can only at best state that one of his students has an accumulated stat point of more than 40. But that's nothing compared to talented skills, because just last year, even a double S rank student was produced. Qin Chuan fires back, stating that it was actually a false claim. There's genuinely no records in their database suggesting the existence of a student with double S rank talent. In fact, even single S ranks are so rare, so it's impossible to think someone beyond that level can exist, except our boy, of course. The scene cuts to the Goblin Den, in other words, the exam site where all of the candidates have been gathered. Remarking on the unbearable putrid smell, they quickly cover their noses, before a message pops up right in front of them. The notification outlines their task to escape the forest and reach the safe zone within 60 minutes, with an additional task of killing the Goblin King and 5 goblins too. The main task grants 10 credits and 100 redemption points, while the option tasks have much higher credit and redemption bonuses, giving the incentive to try. What's more, each candidate has been given a gift box to enjoy, with a final reminder that there won't be any death penalties for the test. This message alone alleviates the concerns of several candidates, who shout in excitement that their points won't be deducted. Meanwhile, our boy taps the box, earning a majestic novice staff as his first weapon, even though it's pretty shit rated at F. Alongside it, he earns the wand mastery skill to use with the staff. From the looks of things, Xiao Lin assesses that this whole system is pretty similar to the games he used to play. Long story short, Bro can use it to his advantage. Wielding the weapon, he points it in a direction and focuses an energy beam, before shooting it at range and leaving a crater in a boulder. It's a pretty neat hit so far, earning him 2 points for using the weapon. Xiao Lin is happy because now, the more he spams this thing, the greater benefits he'll be able to juice out of it. On top of that, he's also got a sexy passive skill, allowing him to level up his skills at twice the rate than others. While those benefits are remarkable, Xiao Lin suddenly experiences a sharp pang coursing through his head. This headache is a result of his attribute and mana being far too low, so he can't spam this weapon like he thought he would. One other guy, a beefy musclehead, feels proud for having unlocked a great sword with basically no mana repercussions. Our boy understands that the way a candidate uses a weapon is how they'll be able to level it up faster. Of course, that doesn't mean swinging is the best approach, because then exhaustion of the person is also an issue. The whole point of the 60-minute duration is to ensure these guys can't rest either, which is why Xiao Lin observes that he might have to switch to physical weapons too in the process. While he's lost in thought, the baddie comes along to pitch him a weapons trade. She got a sword, but to her, and despite not having played games, she understands how staff work. Xiao Yu suspects that intelligence is an added factor for such a weapon, and believes that it would suit her better than a strength-based weapon. She's sharp enough to also have taken notice that our boy doesn't seem interested in the staff. Impressed, Xiao Lin introduces himself, but this gal only wants that big stick, so our boy gives it to her. Wait, what? Anyway, he emphasizes that the staff requires aim, so she needs that caution before using it. As for Xiao Lin, he's chilling with his sexy new short sword, just the kind of weapon he needed to suit his experience. Thinking that it's best to cooperate with someone, the same dude confidently asks the baddie if she wants to team up with him. But before he could, that beefy dumbass comes along and towers over her asking for the same offer. The big guy over here is impressed because of Xiao Yue's stats, and recommends that she cooperate with him for maximum success, even berating the scrawny kid Xiao Lin for being a trash teammate. Our boy is mildly annoyed, while she assesses the situation and straight up rejects this man to his face before turning around, exerting maximum girl boss behavior. Wang Delin is humiliated and made fun of by the surrounding candidates. His ego can't take it, and out of frustration, Bro side-eyes our boy as punishment. Poor guy ends up getting pushed out of nowhere just because he was around Wang Delin when he got his ass rejected. He threatens Xiao Lin and plays on his cool guy act to restore his generational aura loss, making the excuse that our boy doesn't deserve to be in this exam for being dead weight. Xiao Lin looks at the dude and calmly dismantles him by saying their own abilities will decide the outcome of the test. Him not backing down results in Dallin grabbing him by the shirt, threatening to attack him. Unafraid, Bro smiles and assures him Dallin won't be getting that chance. Why? Because one ugly little goblin is flanking his ass Venom style in the middle of their chat. Luckily, Bro only got his face slashed, but to be honest, the goblin mogs his imp face anyway. The green midget jumps again, but Dallin somehow cuts it down, securing his first kill. It's hilarious how he roars his anger again at Xiao Lin for not saying anything but laughing while he got ambushed. Before he could do anything about our boy, the idiot looks back and finds the entire gang of goblins ready to run a generational fade check. As for the humans, they're already squeaking in their boots to run away. The fight begins with some players getting taken down immediately. Over to our boy's side, Xiao Lin is holding his own against the goblins. Everything about this simulation is real. Even the pain they experience is far too real. Xiao Yue kills a goblin with her staff, while he takes one down with a slash. The environment is supposed to be virtual, but the encoded settings are too real. In other words, this isn't just your average game. An ordinary person is going to get massacred in a place like this, no matter the weapon. A few candidates recommend that they hide inside the cave since it seems to be a safe spot. This one guy runs inside, while Xiao Lin notes that it's only safe inside for now, because according to the remaining protected time of 30 minutes, it won't be like this forever. Instead of letting his emotions govern his situation, our boy calms himself down, analyzing what he can do best here and now. If he hesitates, he'll die, so he begins swinging his sword repeatedly in order to train and increase the weapon experience points. He notices that only a specific kind of strength in the swing counts the experience point, which is why he needs to get familiar with the movement before round 2. 2 minutes are left to spare. The candidates haven't prepared anything, and their safe zone is going to become unsafe very soon. Most of them panic, declaring the mission impossible against monsters like that, while Xiao Yue sulks in her corner. Interestingly, she notices our boy rigorously training, exhausting himself even. The baddie comes up and tells him that there's no point to him swinging his weapon like that, because it would still take him a whole hour to reach level 2, so they'll never evolve in the duration they have. Our boy is pretty impressed with this nerd baddie's calculations, and he understands that her assumption is right. Except, Bro's got a buff helping him out, doubling his points, allowing him to get that same level in half the time. Even now, he's only 2 points away from the level, so he thanks her and excuses that he's going to keep going. Xiao Lin also asks if she got results from her observation against the goblins, which startles her that he took note of such a detail. They have a little chat about games, and well, the baddie doesn't know anything about them. Back to seriousness, Xiao Lin shares that the goblins have trash offense and defense, while their weakest parts are the head and the heart. In other words, taking them down isn't a grandiose task, they just need to stop fearing them. The mission isn't that difficult. He can see some of them trembling in fear, but these people are destined to lose anyway. With 2 minutes left, Xiao Yue expresses that they gotta head out now. Our boy follows her by teaming up with her. Again, Wang Delin intrudes and blocks them, questioning where the hell they're going. Like last time, this persistent cockroach asks Xiao Yue to team up again, believing Xiao Lin is gonna get her killed. She humbles his ass again, assuring him that the main challenge is the Goblin King. The scumbag roars at her, stating that it's just an optional reward they could ignore. It's not like they haven't seen the monster either. While he's aiming for basic survival, she's aiming for the top dog prize. Our boy backs her up, assuring Dalin that the quest must have some kind of trigger mechanism, or perhaps even a number of goblins killed. Xiao Yue deduces that the academy wouldn't just force them to defeat the boss in a couple of minutes, which means the surest trigger has to be some kind of kill count activation. Even our boy believes the same outcome, thinking that they need to wipe a few goblins first. One girl, shivering in fear, believes they should aim for survival since they have no clue of the Goblin King's strength. This loser mentality isn't enough for our Kobe Bryant protagonist, who believes winning huge is better because they won't die failing here anyway. He urges them all to go out with a bang, to score the maximum points possible. Thanks to his motivational speech here, some of the candidates have their resolve raised much higher. Dalin comes along and becomes an obstacle once more, trying to swoon the crowd to not listen to a suicidal maniac, but Xiao Yue quickly humbles him for the 69th time, telling him to sit the fuck down for being average. He only has 30 points while she scored a whopping 46, enough for her to make him shut up. The silence is deafening because Xiao Lin is only realizing how she's 5 times higher in points than him. Seizing the leadership role, she commands the group that only a unified front will lead them to mission success. For Dalin, she orders him to take on the aggressive goblins at the front, and any ranged fighters to support and cover from the back, allowing the maximum killing of goblins. Finally, for our boy, Xiao Lin understands that his role is to finish off any low-life goblins trying to escape the crowd, since he has the worst stats of all of them. With this strategy, they exit the cave with a bang. Dalin starts cutting the goblins down. The archers keep them at bay while scoring down their numbers. Of course, some goblins try to attack them too, only for Xiao Lin to swoop in and flank kill them. Though he saved her life, it costs him some stamina, so he's only aiming for opportunistic one-hit kills. Thanks to his keen eye, he ends up killing 4 goblins using the same strategy, surprising the rest of the candidates for doing so much with only 9 points to his name. They think it's luck, but Xiao Yue can see intentionality in everything our boy is doing. It's an excellent maneuver for his stats. With this, Bro levels up to 2 and raises his sword mastery stats. It's all thanks to his experience in a VR game he used to spam, or else he wouldn't have precise control over his weapon. The system quickly swoops up and congratulates him for being the first person to reach level 2, unlocking a new heavy slash skill. What's even better is that Xiao Lin only has to kill the 5th and final goblin to complete one of the optional quests. He finds one near death and takes him out, completing the quest at last. The moment he completes the quest, the other goblins suddenly start disappearing out of nowhere, as if the mission is completed. The system announces the confirmation of the hidden condition, activating the boss in the process. Lo and behold, the Goblin King rises with a goddamn titanic stature, ready to slaughter them all. The Goblin King finally pulls up, and he looks like a straight-up nightmare fueled by pure horror. The second he spots the students, he lets out a roar so deafening that everyone has to cover their ears just to keep them from popping. It's clear to everyone now that this towering beast is the ultimate dungeon boss. Xiao Lin realizes all the smaller goblins have vanished, leaving them alone with this tank, while the other students are staring at that massive health bar and losing their chill. One guy actually drops his sword and tries to bolt, and even though Xiao Lin knows the monster has cracked hearing and a sharp nose, there's no stopping the panic. That runner's mistake backfires instantly when the goblin hears him and locks on, but Wang thinks he's him and tries to capitalize on the distraction. He leaps in for a sneak attack, but the Goblin King has 0 lag. He counters Wang in a blink and sends him flying into the dirt. Wang gets deleted the moment he hits the ground, and seeing a top player get folded like that sends the rest of the group into a full-on sprint for the exit. It's basically a free-for-all now, and the goblin starts clearing the lobby, squashing one student under his massive foot and sending others flying with his club. He's about to finish off a female player when a magic attack clips him from the side. The hit isn't a world ender, but it chips the health bar enough to get the boss's attention, and it turns out Gu Xiao Yue is the one behind the spell. She's heated that she missed her mark earlier and knows they have to hit vitals if they want to actually win this. Her original plan was pretty solid on paper. Vanguards distract while the ranged units chip away. But now that everyone has broken formation and started running, she realizes her strategy was way too idealistic. She's standing there vulnerable as the monster raises his club to flatten her, But right before she gets turned into a pancake, Xiao Lin moves like a blur. He slashes the goblin's hair, which is a total disrespect move but works perfectly to pull the aggro onto himself. Xiao Lin is way too fast for the boss to catch, and as he dodges the incoming swings, he notices the goblin's AI is actually predictable. It just targets whoever is standing closest. He uses this knowledge to rally the squad, calling out the scared girl who's been hiding and telling her to start spamming ranged shots. Even though she's terrified, she agrees to help, and Xiao Lin orders Gu Xiaoyue to go full glass cannon mode with her staff. The two girls start blasting the goblin, and for a second, things are actually looking up as the health bar starts to dip. Xiao Lin is hyped, pushing them to keep the pressure on, but the goblin has a hidden phase. He lets out a massive roar and slams the ground with enough force to crack the earth, creating a shockwave that deletes the archer girl instantly and leaves the survivors in a total state of shock. Now, it's just Xiao Lin and the mage left standing, and she's definitely feeling the pressure, low-key worried they're about to get cooked. But our boy keeps his cool and checks her mana tank. She reveals she's only got enough juice for 2 more shots, which Xiao Lin decides is plenty as long as she locks in and lands those headshots. He's confident they can end this right now, so he activates his scholar skill to copy the goblin's own shockwave, which packs a 3-second stun on impact. As the monster gets dazed, Xiao Lin charges forward, thinking about how he was supposedly useless in his previous life. But now it's his time to shine on the battlefield as he goes for the swing. Just as he's about to connect, he notices the goblin is prepping its own shockwave by slamming its hands down, but he realizes his copied version triggers differently, through sword impact. Xiao Lin doesn't flinch and blocks the goblin's hit head-on, triggering his shockwave at the exact same time. The clash is so intense it actually shoves the massive goblin back in total shock, leaving our boy amazed that his theory about the skill was 100% correct. He knows he's on a 30-second cooldown now though, so he's got to kite the boss for a bit to stay alive. Right on cue, the monster swings again with a hit so heavy it creates a literal energy blast, but when the smoke clears, it's the goblin screaming with a scorched hand. Gu Xiaoyu came through with her second-to-last mana drop, though she's honestly confused how a weak guy like him is out here parrying a dungeon boss. With the goblin's health bar looking pretty tragic, the monster gets desperate and hurls a massive rock at Xiao Lin. He realizes there's no way to fully dodge it this time, so he decides to do something absolutely wild and blocks the boulder with his bare hand. The impact creates a massive energy wave, and Gu Xiaoyue screams in worry, thinking he's done for. When the dust finally settles, Xiao Lin has straight up lost an arm, but he just brushes it off and claims he's fine. His cooldown is ticking down with only 10 seconds left, but the goblin isn't giving him any room to breathe and launches another heavy attack. Xiao Lin knows he has to get into point-blank range to make his final move work, so with 3 seconds left on the clock, he lunges right in front of the monster. The moment his cooldown hits 0, he slams his sword into the ground, releasing a massive shockwave that sends the goblin reeling. He signals the girl to finish it, and she doesn't miss, landing a perfect headshot that deletes the boss on the spot. The system confirms the Goblin King is dead, and Mission 2 is a wrap. With the adrenaline finally wearing off, the boy drops his sword and collapses, starting to go unconscious as he realizes he's pushed himself way past the limit to clear these safe zone quests. Back in the Academy conference room, the head of admissions is dropping the full summary on this year's recruits. He breaks down the stats from the F ranks all the way to the top-tier S ranks, revealing that a total of 15 people hit that elite S rating. Hearing those numbers has the other instructors sweating and wondering if this batch is just built different, especially when the head mentions that 13 of those students are high-quality talents, the best the Academy has seen in a decade. Xinchuani's starting to get majorly anxious, thinking his class completely flopped without a single S rank, but then the head drops a massive news that Qin's class actually set 2 school records. It turns out 2 non-talented students from his group snagged S ranks while also breaking the record for the highest intelligence attribute and the lowest overall attribute total for a freshman. He's obviously talking about Xiao Lin and Gu Xiaoyue, and their bizarre stats have even caught the principal's eye. Over with the students, everyone teleports back in full form, and the second Xiao Lin spawns, he checks his status. He's actually shocked to see the first task marked as complete since he blacked out before the finish line. He spots Gu Xiaoyu nearby and figures she probably carried the end of the fight, but before he can say anything, the archer girl rushes over to thank them both for her A rating. She remembers getting deleted by the boss and is genuinely amazed when Xiao Lin reveals they actually finished the job after she was gone. Meanwhile, the buff dude from earlier is still being a hater, raging and calling their win pure luck, but Gu Xiaoyue just ignores the noise and asks the boy to chat in private about the battle. Taking him aside, Xiao Lin tries to thank her for the carry, but she's not having it. She admits that without him hard countering the Goblin King's skill, she never would have had the opening for that final headshot. As they talk, our boy realizes she's way more calculative than she looks. She gets straight to the point, asking how a guy with his low attributes managed to interrupt a boss skill like that. She knows he's hiding a secret, but she promises she isn't a snitch and just wants to stay in the loop. To lock things in, She asks to add him to her friends list via the system, and he gladly agrees. She even teaches him how to bring up the system menu silently, and he officially adds her using her student ID. The chill vibe gets interrupted when Qinchuan announces that everyone with an F rank needs to hit the assembly hall, while everyone else is headed to the central playground. He calls Gu Xiaoyue over specifically, and as she heads off, Xiao Lin pulls up his map to navigate toward the playground. While he's messing with the system, he wonders why the instructor needed her specifically, but he eventually brushes it off and keeps moving. Reaching the ground, he's pretty surprised by the massive crowd, and he can't help but wonder if these sudden disappearances caused a huge stir in the real world while they were stuck in the dungeon. Just then, Gu Xiaoyue comes rushing back to the boy, quickly letting him know she didn't snitch or reveal any of his secrets to the higher-ups. While they're low-key catching their breath, a big-shot student union president rolls up with 2 bodyguards and takes the stage, introducing himself and apologizing for the principal being fashionably late. But the formal vibes don't last long because a massive roar suddenly rips through the playground. To everyone's absolute shock, a giant dragon appears in the sky, and Xiao Lin feels that primitive biological fear hit him so hard his body literally freezes up. Even Gu Xiaoyue is trembling next to him as the dragon's rider, who turns out to be the principal of Dawn Academy, finally touches down. The union president tries to call the entrance a bit extra, but the principal just grills him, basically saying he had to push the dragon to its limits because he was running late for the speech. He even threatens the dragon, telling it that if it tries to jump scare his students again, he'll skin it and turn it into a sofa. From the crowd, Xiao Lin is watching the principal with a bit of anxiety, worried that someone this powerful might have the eyes to spot his hidden scholar talent. The principal starts his address by praising the student's potential, but then his eyes lock onto Xiao Lin. He uses magic amplification to finally address the elephant in the room about why they were all kidnapped and summoned in the middle of the night. He shifts the blame onto the admissions department for the ungodly hours and promises to make a rule so it doesn't happen again. Then, the vibe gets dead serious as he explains their new reality. He introduces them all as colonizers and reveals that the planet they're currently on is called Norma, the New World. The entire point of the academy is to train them into an elite force for conquering and ruling this alien territory. The principal gets loud telling the students that their old lives effectively ended the moment they opened those admission letters. From here on out, they aren't just students. They're the future generals, mages, and leaders who will conquer entire worlds. He starts emitting this insane amount of energy while talking about the treasures waiting for them in the new world, which definitely does the trick and spikes the morale of the entire crowd. He lays down the law, stating that only the top 3 students from each class will get the privilege of entering the new world early. The student union leader looks a bit worried about this timeline, but after a warning glare from the principal, he backs down and shuts up. The old man then dismisses the crowd, leaving Xiao Lin deep in thought about the union president's weird reaction to the early deployment. Xiao Lin's main priority is still just getting stronger so he doesn't get deleted, but his inner monologue is cut short when Qinchuan calls him over. It turns out Gu Xiaoyue turned down the position of class monitor, a job that usually goes to the top performer, so the responsibility has trickled down to him. The instructor assures him that being monitor comes with extra credits and special privileges, which might be a literal lifeline for a dead weight with his stats. He doesn't really give our boy a choice, appointing him on the spot, and Xiao Lin gets the official system notification confirming his new role. The instructor dips, leaving the rest of the orientation to the AI, while Xiao Lin is left standing there wondering exactly what kind of perks he's actually going to get from this new gig. After the announcements, the students head over to the dormitory building to get settled in. At the reception, the lady in charge lays down the law, making it clear there are heavy penalties for anyone caught sneaking out at night. However, her mood pulls a complete 180 the moment she realizes Xiao Lin is the class monitor. She suddenly gets super friendly and offers to personally escort him to grab his supplies and check out his room. She hands over his freshman uniform and shows him to a lavish single room. It's a major step up from the standard dorms and one of the sweet perks of his acting monitor status. She also points out that his ID tag is basically his life now, used for everything on campus. Before heading out, she introduces herself as Zhang and even suggests they add each other as friends. Xiao Lin thanks her and realizes that the privileges his instructor mentioned are definitely real, considering how differently people treat him the second they see his title. Once he's alone, he opens up his course schedule to figure out his life, but the massive list of classes is a bit overwhelming. He has to pick 1 combat course and 3 secondary attribute courses, but thanks to his unique talent, he isn't sweating it too much. He knows he can't afford to waste his biggest advantage, so he locks in basic swordsmanship for his combat slot because of how versatile it is. He figures it'll boost his survival chances and give him a solid foundation, so he officially makes the choice. The next day, he shows up for training and starts going to town on a practice dummy, but the exhaustion hits him like a truck almost immediately. He can really feel how weak his lower back is, which is a huge problem since that's where all the power for a longsword comes from. Just as he's starting to flag, his innate talent kicks in, and he starts swinging again with a second wind. He realizes that as long as he can wrap his head around the basics, he can level up at a cracked pace. True to form, he hits level 3 in just an hour, which is literally twice as fast as anyone else in the room. While he's locked in, another student collapses on the floor, crying about his arms being dead. The instructor, a third-year sub named Chung Na, isn't having any of it and starts grilling the guy for picking her class with such shitty stamina. She warns the whole group that nobody is leaving until they hit level 3, which sounds like a death sentence to the others. The femboy student who went down early is already regretting his life choices, and the rest of the class is panicking because they know it usually takes 4 hours of non-stop grinding just to hit level 2. To everyone's absolute shock, Xiao Lin actually steps forward and tells the instructor he's already hit level 3 and wants to dip early for his next meditation class. The entire room goes silent as they process what he just said. Chung Na also looks at him with major suspicion, pointing out that a freshman reaching level 3 in basically 2 hours is completely unheard of and borderline unbelievable. She greets him as the notorious lucky dude with the dumbest base stats, only to get S rank by leeching off. In other words, the girl is out here calling him a fraud, and can't even fathom that this dude is already level 3. Our boy counters, assuring her that the data can prove his ranking, even ushering her to go ahead and check. The instructor taunts him. Chung Na activates one of her high-level permissions as a teacher, and crafts open a systems training simulation arena for all to witness. Our boy wasn't expecting this sudden change as the very terrain around them started shifting. Chung Na isn't the type to nerd out about the data. Instead, she's a battle maniac who wants to test him in real combat. The simulation zone is metal as fuck with boneheads filling the space around the arena. Xiao Lin realizes that this is the place where the academy took away the laws of the world, allowing them to create some godlike training space. Walking past him, Chung Na assures the dear student that he won't die in this simulated space, but she also reminds him that everything he feels is going to be real. What's more, this chick gave up a pretty hefty price just to open the expensive arena, so she's interested in getting every bang for her buck. Saying so, Chung Na summons several skeleton warriors out of the ground, all of whom lunge towards our boy to take him down. She thinks that if he's truly a mighty level 3 swordsman, then this much should be nothing for him. Mommy Chung Na sits and watches the show, expressing that the soldiers are so weak they're comparable to the goblins he faced back at the entrance exam. The first hit is avoided by Xiao Lin, who is told to clear the dungeon and earn the reward of leaving class early by proving his worth. Even more, she states with confidence that he'll earn more privileges to leave in the future. Gearing up for combat, Xiao Lin postures himself prepared to confront the undead dungeon. The goal is to survive for 40 whole minutes, or just kill 20 soldiers in the process. Now, our boy is sweating already, believing that this woman is a damn maniac for going this far just for some dumb ego play at testing his skills. Regardless, he prepares his iron dagger weapon to confront his enemies. Xiao Lin also understands the 2 clearance conditions, while the skeleton soldiers rush forth to slice and dice this man into a kebab. First, our boy ducks the swing, wondering if he should stall for 40 minutes or just kill all 20 of these monsters. Saying so, Xiao Lin connects a brutal slash, tackling the first soldier and creating an opening to strike. Next, he confronts to kill the soldier, this time zapping its head clean off its body, marking the first kill. Now, he has gained the understanding that he'll need at least 2 hits to kill at least one of the soldiers. But right now, they're ganging up on him from every direction, and with the inclusion of 20 soldiers, Xiao Lin needs to connect 40 definitive strikes to succeed. It's not easy, but the shocking part to his substitute teacher is how this kid has the balls to dive into danger instead of trying to stall. At first, she thought he'd be pissing his pants and begging her to just close the dungeon, but it seems that she has impressed her quite a lot. Also, his movements are commendable with each attacking angle too, so he's not faking anything so far. Xiao Lin is busy fighting for his life out here, while also judging accurately and evading critical blows when he needs to. All in all, Chung Na reflects that the kid is way better than the other idiots who couldn't even swing a damn weapon. Unfortunately, the only problem with our boy is his shitty stats. Before she could sulk, Chung Na reaches a realization. The boy enrolled in swordsmanship courses to boost those very stats. Even though he's supposed to have the worst stats, this man is panting and yet has already downed 13 kills. It's a miracle in Chung Na's eyes, because Xiao Lin refuses to back down, with 28 minutes remaining on the clock. Despite his perfect judgment, it's natural that he suffers a crushing blow from one of the skeletons from his rear, causing heavy damage. This is what this sadistic woman wants to see. She has a desire to break his soul, to be obedient and listen to her command, and while I'm sure some of you would bark to that statement, Xiao Lin's Mamba mentality keeps him steady. Bro activates heavy slash skill and annihilates a few soldiers in a single hit, shocking Chung Na with the usage of this skill, as no one is supposed to have that so early on. This shoots up his count to 17, then 18 and finally 19 confirmed kills. After blitzing his way past all of them, our boy secures the final and 20th kill, completing the task. By the end, Xiao Lin is just a mess who can't even breathe, but he still glares down at his instructor, roaring that he completed the task to perfection. Watching him like this, she can't help but wonder what the heck is wrong with this freshman. The same kid who got supreme evaluations in the exams, and it's starting to seem like it's not just luck. The scene cuts to the student council office, where the council president learns about the list of students who received S&A rank evaluations. His assistant shares that he should also take a look at the class schedule, because apparently, this year's selection has been very strange. For example, she highlights Xiao Lin, a boy who has actually managed to destroy every course available so far, stunning the president's expectations. At the infirmary room, things are spiraling up with Chung Na put under hot fire for treating a freshman like this. She roars back at the student president, calling him a midget, when he's just trying to explain that her methods are too extreme. The teacher relents that she wants to be stricter because of the fact that they're freshmen who need guidance. In the end, their confrontation results in a standstill, while our boy finally shows signs of consciousness and wakes up. He gets up realizing that he's in the infirmary right away, with the student resident confirming that the simulation doesn't restore one's stamina. That's why people require some level of care. Since our boy passed out, he was taken here, but Xiao Lin feels a lot better now and will recover fully soon. Now that this is covered, the president orders Chung Na to get the hell out because he wants to talk with our boy privately. The woman is feisty and upset, but ultimately obeys the command and exits the room. Right before leaving, she fires back at Xiao Lin, confirming that she will keep her promise and grant him early leave whenever he wants now. At the same time, she warns him that those who practice martial arts to such intensity typically don't have a good ending. Chung Na slams the door shut on her point, while Bro Loki finds her pretty interesting compared to everyone else's opinion of her. That aside, the president has some stuff to share and asks if Xiao Lin read the part where it said he's not advised to take too many courses. Swordsmanship, movement, and taijutsu are the physical courses. Meditation, spells, and perception are the magical courses. With both systems offering different growth paths, dual cultivation may have its advantages, but it's also taxing, with each branch diversifying deeper and deeper. When one enters sophomore year, the dual cultivation eventually costs nearly 7 times the energy to maintain for a student. Even with those facts, Xiao Lin knows it all, comparing the structure to a tree, where higher means further drifting apart. Both cultivation systems are like that, and even though they're painstakingly difficult, it's not his job to just throw up his hands and give up. Plus, Bro's skill is the key to succeeding too. This kind of confidence students the president, and before their talk can continue, he receives a message from the principal who approves our boy's course selections. The president leaves while assuring him that a new schedule will be provided to Xiao Lin to accommodate him properly. The weird part is that the principal's message came at such a convenient timing that even Xiao Lin is a little confused. He wonders if this guy is always watching him, or if it's because of his talent. Speaking of the principal, we arrive at his grand office where the man looks sorrowful and disappointed. The Dawn Academy's control system, a spiritual essence, questions what happened. The principal mocks the program for taking the appearance of an anime girl, but that aside, he emphasizes how she's the central point of the academy, with only access to a few people. Having spent 100 years with this old geezer, the program finds him incredibly boring. She wonders why he's being so bitter, especially when the batch is good and they even manage to confirm a double S rank student. You see, the principal explains that the average person's stats is 10 points, the academy's average is 20, and Xiao Lin sits at a depressing 9 points. Bro is worse than average. He only got a special talent after the admission, which means it literally should be impossible for Xiao Lin to get the letter in the first place with such shitty stats. The computer program plays it slick and thinks that maybe they must have made some kind of mistake, but that's exactly the main problem. The headmaster shares that after accessing the database, he saw something jaw-dropping. There's actually 0 records of Xiao Lin's admission. The principal denotes that nearly 1,400 students enrolled this year, but there's 1 letter short, and something like that has never even happened in the history of the academy. Since this virtual girl is supposed to be the main control program, he seeks her insight. The girl shares that of the 1360 letters, there are no reported errors, so next he demands to see Xiao Lin's letter. To that, she teasingly states that she won't be cooperating with him, as not even he has the authority to view that specific letter. That knocks the wind right out of the old geezer and nearly sends him into cardiac arrest. He can't believe that even with the permission of the academy, he doesn't have viewing permissions for a single letter. The control program confirms this once more, assuring him that she's just as surprised. Taking the L with grace, the old man decides to let things slide for now. Instead, he wants her to create a backup and encryption of the admission letters instead. That much she can do for him, so she taps into the encryption process right away. From the 1359 letters they have, all of them are now fully encrypted, with only the principal or higher authority members capable of viewing them. The only locked file is of Xiao Lin's, which can't be encrypted either, confirming its maximum protection status. The girl deduces that perhaps the principal is trying his best to avoid anyone knowing about the missing letter's existence. The principal confirms this and shares that he'll return to the new world soon. And right after his leave, he doesn't want any other person behind his back to interrupt the boy's growth. For the rest, he wants the program to handle the academy's affairs. That conversation concludes, and the very next day, we find ourselves at the cafeteria. Here, a girl shouts in shock watching Xiao Lin sit in front of her, the same kid who has been popular lately. She tells him that he's got pretty bad luck because Chung Na is a straight-up maniac. While our boy understands, he wants to know if only the teachers can access the special simulation arena. Interestingly, he learns that others can too if they have permissions, especially if they're the class monitor. The class monitor can access several things like data, management permissions, application approval, and even the usage of the holographic field for the students. And for personal use, the same monitor can submit his own application and use the field without even needing approval. The process of submitting an application is shown to him. All he has to do is activate student mode for the field, and the training simulation will begin. Xiao Lin thanks his senior for the great help, though she taunts him for not having his spirits raised since freshmen usually get rejected. In hilarious fashion, Bro gets approved in a freaking instant, scraping the crap out of her as the process typically takes 3 whole weeks. The simulation mode is only reserved for seniors since it costs a minimum of 500 points. Failing means those points go down the drain too. This puts things into perspective for Xiao Lin, who has 800 in his bank right now, so there's no way he wants to fail. At the same time, he recalls the principal's words, who stated that the top 3 students will get early qualifications to the new world. Each monitor will also be re-elected after the exam, so the opportunity would not arise again. Wang plotted on his downfall too to make things worse. Currently, Class 7's top dogs are Xiao Yue and Wang Delin. If he becomes a monitor, our boy is cooked for life and won't get the simulation field. That's why no matter what, Xiao Lin needs to become stronger. Concluding his talk with the senior, he takes off, while she is left with the impression that this guy works really hard, indicative of why he became the monitor in the first place. In the gym classroom, people are losing their minds that some shit-stat candidate managed to be elected as class monitor. This is Liang Ziyue of Class 6, while Wang Delin crushes a bottle, roaring his anger at their counselor for making such a stupid decision. He berates Qin Chuan, their teacher, for once being a shitty student himself, so naturally he's also taking interest in the bottom tiers. Wang Delin is visibly frustrated, and still remembers the L's he took when Xiao Yue rejected him in front of everyone. His lackey Ziyue suggests that they can simply teach Xiao Lin a lesson right now instead of waiting 3 whole months. You see, this guy shares a connection with a senior, and thanks to that, he's already plotting his scheme to cause damage to Xiao Lin. Speaking of our boy, he's currently going David Goggins-style cardio to boost his fitness. At the end of the training session, he decides to go back to the dorms, reflecting how daily training is going to boost him in no time. But the moment he clutches the door handle, it just doesn't work, implying that it was bolted shut from the outside.